Hi guys, how's it going? This is Resident of Collinwood for YouTube, back with my second and final video tonight of the good, the bad, the gray, and the anti-hero, my continuing series for Dark Shadows. My next character was no easy decision, and again, because she lies, um, and again, includes other characters, Victoria winners, it includes Victoria Winters, Roger Collins, David Collins, Sarah Johnson, Carolyn Stoddard Collins, or Carolyn Collins Stoddard, sorry. Uh, and I'm talking about Elizabeth Collins Stoddard. Where do I start Elizabeth? I gotta start her off in the gray. I cannot start this character off in the good. And really because of not just the fact that she lies, it's how far she goes to protect it. And I mean, she goes pretty far. She doesn't kill for it necessarily, but would it shock me if she did? No. And not because, look, for those who are familiar with Dark Shadows, you guys know it gets revealed that Elizabeth, though she thought she killed Paul, she didn't. I'm just going to say that right now. I'm not considering the fake death of Paul Stoddard as the reason why. I'm more considering the lie she tells. She not only, she tells Victoria she has no idea who her parents are. That's a lie, And then, she plays the same game with Roger, but I want you to say you brought this girl here. And Roger's like, yeah, but I didn't. You did. And so again, she's going to a great length. Now, does she have good acts? Yes, of course. I think the most brilliant part of with these characters is even though their categories are sort of certain ways, they don't necessarily just stay in those categories. They sort of do straddle a line between one category and the next. Jonathan Frid used to say he loved to go, dance between two poles. In many ways, other actors did that too on the show, and Joan Bennett was one. She here's she was great and good, at the same time. Again, I said I couldn't start her off specifically in the good because I can't. But she did dance between those two categories of gray and good. Does she do anything, deceptively evil when you first meet her? No. Lying is the worst thing she does. But in the same sense, it's you don't know why she's lying. You don't know exactly what's the grounds of her lying. Did something so awful happen with Vicky's father? Maybe she just can't bring herself to tell her, or does she just want to protect Victoria Winters from whatever she feels Victoria needs protecting from? And it's a hell of a thing when you think about it. Again, she also, you know, is very, pretty much telling Carolyn to stay out of it too. She also, is just trying to get her daughter out of that house. While she's trying to get one daughter out of the house, she's got, she's lying to the other, which is interesting. Where, where is Elizabeth good with her gray? I'll tell you where she's really good. And it's basically not just with Roger, but with she does not. Here's what I'll say: the reason I can't put Elizabeth in the bad category necessarily is simply because she doesn't know her brother committed the manslaughter. She believes him. A jury of Burke's peers did convict him. She doesn't know that Um, Roger went to Sam Evans. That was a thing. So when now once that gets revealed, here's what I mean by, and this is after the Phoenix arc, which I'll get back to. What I mean by good acts and pure, somebody who had a high moral compass, Elizabeth was willing to call the cops, and Burke stopped her, once she found out about it. Where Liz really gets made over as a baby face too, again, is David too. You might say, why does Elizabeth protect David even though David tried to kill his own father? Well, here's the thing. Number one, I don't believe Roger is David's dad. That's number one. Number two, listen, we if we say Liz is a heel for protecting David for because David removed the bleeder valve, listen, every one of us would have removed that bleeder valve at that point. We're all heels. But I kid. But that's the thing. David did David do something wrong? Sure. But at the same time, Roger has been Roger wants nothing to do with David. That's what gets me. It's like Liz Liz know, where there's times Roger can't, you know, bring himself to love his son. Elizabeth does love Roger's son, or does love her who she believes is her family member, right? Because I think David is Burke's son. Um, Now, at the same end of that, Elizabeth would she knows Roger's full of shit. She can sense Roger's bullshit. She knows Roger has just been mean to this kid, and really she can tell that Roger is sort of putting all the heat of Roger's failed marriage on David. And I think really it's Liz does a good job, sort of, not just Liz, but Lewis Edmonds too, as well. Both do a good job of relaying that to the audience. And so you sort of are cheering for Liz, like, yeah, like he doesn't need to be like that to his own son. And so you sort of get why David did what he did. Um, Amazing. Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting thing for David. Where do I put David? Um, I'm not doing David for a while, as you can tell, because he's gonna be tough. I will say this though, what, where Liz's biggest bad guy act at times is lying. Um, when you realize that this woman has imprisoned herself too in the house for 18 years wrongfully, that makes you feel sorry for her. But really, where she really wins you over is during the Phoenix arc, where Liz gets made into, well, before that even too, when she sort of stands up to her for Matthew Morgan. Liz would not let somebody commit cold. To give you a take of, Liz would not let someone commit cold-blooded murder, to one of her kids, to somebody who she gave a shit about. Look at what Liz does with Matthew Morgan. She stands in front of him. That's right there. There's where Liz, to me, won me over, because it's like, okay, Elizabeth gives a shit. Again, and there was moments too, you could tell Elizabeth gave a shit about Victoria Winters. Just that was one of those defining moments. And another moment too with the Phoenix arc, where she realizes Laura's no good for David. and that gets made very clear that Liz is right. Um, there are other moments too when you look at Elizabeth as she really cares. She really cares for David, and while everybody's want everybody is telling her to send David away, Barnabas, Julia, to a certain degree, and then Julia changes her mind. But the one person who is in Elizabeth's ear that convinces her not to is Vicky, and Elizabeth listens to Vicky, and you love that interaction. Um, Another thing too is during during the ghost story, where Liz really gets made a heel to me as a Leviathan arc. Joan Bennett finally gets made into a heel, which is great. So she does go from gray, good to bad a bit. Again, though, too, she's being controlled. She's under a control. So she's bad, but with a reason. So when the pendants for her baby face turn back is going to be, well, she's under someone else's control. There are many things Liz has gone through too, up until that point where Liz was buried alive. Liz was put in a mausoleum. By Angelique. She was buried alive by Angelique. A spell Angelique put her under. And again, there's moments where they've made you feel every ounce of sorry you can feel for a lot of these characters. And Liz is one of them. And Joan Bennett just performs the hell out of the character. I mean, when I think about the beginning episodes and how many all the actors and actresses really carried them, and especially Joan Bennett. I mean, she was the rock. I mean, she was the rock of that show, and she was awesome. And just not just her words, but her presence. Her merely just being there and selling body language and a look she would give. What an artist, what a performer, you know, a great, great actress. And again, so you have this character who starts off in one category, then another, then another. So again, you're going to see where there's these characters that they start off in a certain category and they end up in another and another. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm laughing because I'm remembering Liz being buried alive and the werewolf and Barnabas are fighting outside of her coffin. It was to me that was funny. I love like that little scene between Jonathan and the werewolf, which was amazing to me. So another thing too is I love how they do Paul Stoddard's, explain Paul Stoddard really. What a way to conclude that sort of, or to let you know exactly what happened 18 years ago. It still doesn't really explain Victoria, but it explains sort of why Liz was, you know, there was a secret, room in the basement, if you will. So, you guys have a great night.